for you. Oh, hey, 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 hey. All things are possible. Hey, hey, hey. Do you believe, y'all? All things are possible. It's said and all things are possible. Jesus said, all things are possible. All things are possible. Hey, 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 come on. All things are possible. Billy, come on. Hey, 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 yeah, all things are possible. I believe. Do you believe? Come on, y'all. All things are say, come on, believe. I said, come on, believe. I said, come on, come on, come on, come on, believe, y'all. Come on, come on, come on, y'all. Do you want to go with me on this faith train, y'all?
Good evening, good evening, good evening. It is Tammy Carpenter, also known as Simply Tammy, back for another edition of Women Who Win. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you for joining us. Those of you that are regulars, you know what to do. Please go ahead and jump in the comments and say hi. Let my guests know that you're here supporting her. The platform that we're in, we don't get to see exactly who's joining us unless you comment. We can see later on when we're back out on Facebook, but we like to interact with you while you're watching. So if you jump in the comments, we will acknowledge you. You may even see your comment flash up on the screen from time to time because we do that as well. Because this platform, the Women Who Win interviews, is to encourage and inspire you to live through it. So if you've been with me since last year when we started and have been able to hear the testimonies of the guests that I've had, you know that they have had some challenges, but they've had some triumphs in their life that did not stop them from becoming. So I am so very excited to be back with you this week, to have another amazing woman who is definitely a woman who wins. So I'm going to bring up her bio so I can read that and then go ahead and bring her into the screen. Before I do that, I'm going to acknowledge those that have already said hello. Hey, my sis Charlene, my sis Brandy, Sheila Haynes Carter. Thank you for jumping in. I see you said you're new to this. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. So glad to have you. So my guest tonight is Tarshà Nicole. And like I said, I'm going to read her bio and then bring her into the screen. So Tarshà Nicole is a mother, singer, songwriter, actress, an HIV and AIDS activist, and a speaker. With a unique and unapologetic voice, Tarshà has inspired students, parents, families, and couples to become a beacon of change. Tarshà's rich tone has afforded her the opportunity to provide supporting vocals for Vesta Williams, soul singer Ganya Doss, guitarist Tony Pelusi, Anthony Hamilton, and Fantasia. After the loss of her mother in 2000, she wrote and recorded Determined as part of a collection for her inspirational album, The Macmillan Story, which was released in 2008. Anchored in her belief that God has a plan for all, she used her talent to pen Silent Kills, which poetically highlights the story of her parents and brother who lived with and eventually succumbed to HIV. This blow could knock the strongest person into hopelessness, yet Tarshà found a way to use her journey to inspire others. She became an advocate for HIV and AIDS awareness by collaborating with leaders in Atlanta, Charlotte, and Chicago. It would have been easy to quietly carry the burden of her loss. Instead, she served as a panelist, keynote speaker, and even received a Red Pump Award for her HIV/AIDS prevention advocacy presented by the Red Pump Project in Charlotte, North Carolina. Tarshà is a true testament that you must never stop fighting until you arrive to your destined place. Tarshà is ready to provide a glimmer of light to those who may feel that they have been silenced in the darkness of the past, pain, and present disappointment. So, without any further delay, welcome, welcome, welcome. Hello, Tarshà.
Hi. Hi,
Hello,
Tammy. How are
hello.
you?
I am doing well. So we have some
Awesome.
other people chiming in. Hey, Adrian Robinson. Hey, Shayla. Thank you guys for joining us. Just want to bring these comments up. I don't know if Tarshay can see them on her end, so
I
I'm going to bring them
can.
up so she can see a glimpse of the beautiful women that are on watching and supporting. And as
Awesome.
I do this, you guys that have tuned in with me before, you know that typically what I do is after I read my guest bio and I bring them up on the screen, I kind of like to give a backstory as to how I know them or if I have any personal relationship with them. I don't know Tarshay personally, but have been listening to her music for years. So the project that was mentioned in her bio, the project is the Macmillan Project, and it is amazing, amazing, amazing. And though for those of you that attended either one of my book signings in 2017, the song that we opened up with that Kiana sang, and I'm not gonna try to sing it, but one of her songs was part of the playlist at my book signing. So she's an amazing vocalist, as her bio stated, but also she's an amazing woman, as you can hear through the other things that she's accomplished beyond being a singer and performer. So it looks like we're getting some more love here. Um, Diamond Anthony, hello. Valencia Joy, hello. Doreen Hannah, hello.
Hi, guys.
So we're going to go ahead and jump into the interview. So Tarshay, starting with you mentioned in your bio, and it's been part of your testimony and part of your journey with your songwriting that you lost your mother in
Mhm.
2000, and you at some point also had lost your father as well. So I know I was in my very early 30s when my mom passed away, and it's very difficult just navigating as a woman
Yeah.
without your mother. So how did you navigate being a late teenager, young adult woman without that guidance of your parents, and what kind of challenges did that present for you?
First off, I want to say thank you for having me here tonight. I am honored to be on this platform that you've allowed me to be on. So I'm always grateful for that opportunity to speak and share my story. So
Thank you for
thank you
saying
for
yes.
that. Um, honestly, I feel like I'm still navigating. I think I'm forever navigating. Anytime you take a loss of a mother, your mother, it doesn't matter if you lose that mother at 5 or if you lose her at 55. It affects you in such a way. And then for those who never knew their mother or just never really had one, you all find yourself just trying to figure it out, navigating through. So I don't know if I've necessarily say that I've just found my way. I think I'm constantly navigating.
Mhm.
Because I don't have the opportunity to call my mother up and say, Mom, I'm dealing with this right now. What do I need to do? Especially when it comes to parenting and raising my sons,
Mhm.
just a lot of things that I want to call and tell her I cannot. Or those days where you just want to cry in your mom's lap, or cry in her bosom and just hear her voice, her soothing voice, to know that everything is okay. I don't have that. So, yes, my father actually passed away from complications of HIV/AIDS when I was 16 years old in 1997. And not even a full 3 years later, shortly after my 19th birthday and my mom's 40th birthday, she succumbed to the effects of HIV/AIDS as well. And
Mhm.
so from 19 on, I was parentless. And those are very challenging years, period, your teenage years, and then going into young adulthood,
Right.
um, that's when you're free to really make decisions that could ultimately alter your entire life.
Yes.
And
Yes.
I will have to say, had it not been for the grace of God covering me, I definitely could be or should be somewhere else statistically. I should be out of my mind, or statistically, I should be on drugs. I shouldn't be right in the head, and I
Right.
definitely could have every reason to say, well, I don't have any parents, so
Mm-hmm.
I don't have anybody to consider, what they think about what I'm doing or what I've done, and could just really be out here wilding,
Right.
and people just
Right.
look at me and be like, oh, poor girl, she's been through a lot. Um,
Mm-hmm.
God has just always had this moral compass inside of me to where I could only go but so far. And
Mm-hmm.
then even if I wanted to go that route, he always kept people in my life to kind of just steer me back. And also having people to cover me in prayer, cover me with their love. I've just been blessed to have that. So, but yes, the whole navigation thing, it's just, I'll be 40 in 2 months, and thank you. 80s baby.
Yeah.
um, Still just trying to figure this thing out. What blows my mind is the fact that when my mother was my age, she literally was fighting for her life. Both of our birthdays are in March. And so at 39, which is what I am right now, my mother was literally fighting for her life at that time. And I just couldn't imagine,
Mm-hmm.
leaving my children. And I think she fought on long enough to see us all get to adulthood, as much as possible.
Mm-hmm.
But what my parents had instilled in us,
Mm-hmm.
definitely I've held on to, and that has really carried me through life. I believe my parents prayed prayers that God definitely has honored throughout my life. That's the only thing I can give, credit for is God covering us, and whatever my parents spoke over our lives, I believe God chose to honor that.
Yes, yes. Yes,
Mm,
that is so true. One of my sisters has said the same thing. She lost her mom um almost 10 years ago now,
mm,
and navigating is you it never ends.
it doesn't.
It never ends. You just
Yeah.
realize that I'm living a new normal. But
Yes.
as you said, God is faithful to make sure that He even brings people that continue to speak into your life in
Yes.
that manner, even though you're absent from your natural mother is absent. So, um, you also mentioned in your bio that right after your mother's death, you wrote the song "Determined" and then later penned "Silence Kills." So, before we talk about the songs that were inspired by those events, were you already writing and singing prior to then? Was the gift, where was the gift before you start writing those songs?
I started out writing poetry initially as a teenager, young teenager, and to the point to where I've always used words to be able to express my emotions.
Mm,
Even when I would apologize to my parents for something I had done or whatever, I would always write out my apologies.
hmm, okay.
God has just always gifted me with this poetic way of writing, thinking, and I would just write it out in a way where I could convey what it is that I'm trying to say.
Mhm,
And so that's just always been the type of child that I was. And I remember my mother being impressed by some of the poetry that I would write because it was so deep, for me to be so young. And eventually that turned into songwriting. My first song I wrote actually was an R&B song. I think I was 11, and it was
okay.
called Boy, Boy, Boy. It was about a boy
I'm
in the
sure it was a hit. It
neighborhood
was a
across
hit
the
back then,
street
wasn't it?
that I had a crush on.
Okay.
I wanted to be an R&B singer. Whitney Houston was like my idol. And,
Mhm,
but of course, I accepted the Lord Jesus Christ into my life at age 12.
mhm,
And that changed the course of my desire to the style of music. that I
Okay.
wanted to do, and it became more so about the gospel world. Even though I was growing up heavily in the church,
Mm-hmm.
um, R&B was something that I wanted to do initially because that's what you saw on BET and different things like that. But what I wanted to sing changed once I received Christ into my life, and so the journey just started from 12 on. You know, the ups and downs of you know Christianhood.
Yes, yes,
While being a teenager, which was,
yes,
it could be challenging, but there were some fun
absolutely,
times too, and I'm grateful for my foundation, for
absolutely.
sure. But yeah, I've always been a writer, always have been a writer. But during that time when I wrote Determined, really, really changed. It did something. It was also very prophetic because I had
Mm-hmm.
no idea the road that was ahead. When I
Mm-hmm.
wrote that song, I think I was 20 years old when I wrote it, but there
Mm-hmm.
was so much that would happen from 20 to now 20 years later
Mm-hmm.
that makes that song still relevant today, where I can play it and still be encouraged by it. So, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I was sharing with a friend of mine that, and I don't know, I may have told you this when we talked with the to do the pre-interview, because I know it was late 2000s when I first heard your project and loved it, but got a little rock on it, got a little
Yes.
soul. I'm like,
Yes.
ooh, this is kind of risque for church, but
Yeah.
I absolutely loved it. And even listening to it again recently after reading your bio, the songs take on a new meaning because
Yes.
now or being familiar with the stories behind the song. It's like, um, okay, I hear that, or I get that now.
Yeah.
So writing was the natural progression for you to express your feelings after the death of your parents. So, what made you take the next step to which for many people, because you have a lot of people that write, but it stays in a journal. But
Mhm.
you wrote it, you sung it, and recorded and released it. So, what was the push to make you get to say, okay, this has to jump off of paper, and I have to bring more life to this?
Initially, like with something, so Determined and a few other songs that I wrote during that time, I started ministering those songs around Cleveland, and I would do different programs here and there. Not many, but when I would do those songs. The very first time I remember doing a few of my songs, there was this one song called "Keep Your Head High," and I recorded that song, but it didn't make the album. But those are one of the songs that I would do around. And my first time uh, ministering my originals was at a Kent State concert during the intermission,
Okay.
and I was able to during the part where they were taking the break. I was able to come up there and do my thing, and that was a pivotal moment for me. And God always just gave inspirational music to me in a different way. And so I used my influences from working with an artist by the name of Kanya Doss in Cleveland, Ohio. She's a neo soul artist. And during that time, neo soul was popping, in the early 2000s. And so Keep Your Head High and some of the other ones were very soulful sounding. And so the rock influence came from me having the opportunity to sing background for a guitarist in Cleveland named Tony Polizzi, which he's now in LA playing behind major artists. But my brother, he really is like my brother, but my cousin, James Black, also James Penn, was the one who introduced me into the R&B world of working and singing background. But that ultimately is what has played a big part in cultivating my sound. And
Mm.
I was glad to have stepped outside of my norm, the box, and be able to do that. And that ultimately opened other doors for me. So when we go back to talking about navigating, it wasn't necessarily things that I was doing necessarily to navigate, but it was like God was opening these doors.
Mhm.
God would give me an idea, and then He would give me the opportunity. He would give me the platform, and I would just walk through. I
Mm.
never really remember having to kick doors down or having to beg to be in a space. God always granted me favor in that, to allow me to have platforms to be able to share my music. And now a lot of times I do kick myself because, you look back now and you're like, I should be a little further along than I am. And a lot of that wasn't because God didn't open the door. It was because I chose to kind of close the door
Wow.
and kind of,
Mm,
hide in the shadows a bit. And that was my coping mechanism, which wasn't healthy.
mm,
But I kind of would just kind of hide away and disappear.
okay.
Not realizing and disappearing, you're robbing people of your gift. You're
Mm,
robbing people of your experience, of your
that's
testimony,
good.
so that you can help as you're journeying through. There are people that are watching you, that are following you, and they're going through this thing too. And when you choose to hide away from that, you kind of rob people of that experience that you're experiencing, and can really be a light
Yeah.
to other people's path as God is leading me. So that's the place I'm in right now, where it's just like, stop hiding, get out there. So when you reached out to me about doing the interview, I know that it was God sent, because I'm like, I haven't really done anything lately. That's what I'm thinking in my head. Like, I haven't put out another gospel album in years. It's been like, a long, long time. And, I've done my J. Penelope rock stuff, but haven't been doing anything with that. And the most recent thing I've been doing is recording of the reality show. Um, that I'm working on right now, but it's not out yet. So I'm like, I haven't really been doing anything. Like, she wants to talk to me, you know. And it's so funny how we'll downplay ourselves,
Yeah.
just kind of be like, I don't think I'm that important. You're just kind of used to standing in the background, you
Mm,
know.
mm,
So this means a lot to be put out here. I feel it was God's way of saying, okay, it's time to come forward. And the fact that it's someone who's interviewing me that actually had been following my career, and you were familiar with me, and it wasn't anything that had anything to do with my ex, or anything like that. It was like, no, I know you. I know
yeah.
your music. And so that's very encouraging for me to keep forward, that people do want to hear from me. They
Yeah.
want to hear my voice. They want to hear me sing again. I still
Absolutely.
sing.
Absolutely. Yeah, I cannot say it enough. Such an amazing gift, but I have to go back to something you said about closing doors. 'Cause I think as women, and one of my friends commented about the hideaway spirit, we like to play the background.
Yeah.
Um, whether it's for insecurities, or,
Mhm.
something in our life has silenced us. You know, we find that place in the background and we stay there. But I've never heard anyone word it the way that you said. You close doors, like you did it on purpose. Like,
Yeah.
God, I know you've made this way, but I ain't doing
Yes.
it.
Exactly.
So can you talk a little bit more about how that shows up differently, whether it's your specific experience? How do we close doors? Um, and what does it look like to try to stay in hiding?
Let's see. We can close doors, I feel, in many ways. Some of us close doors on relationships um, that maybe need to survive, but because we can't deal and we haven't dealt with our own fears and issues, we choose to close the door instead of leaving it open and dealing with the issue at hand. It's so much easier to just shut the door, be in the
Mm,
dark, and hide away, and feel
wow.
sorry for yourself. And you tend to, some people do it in relationships, some people do it with their careers, with their jobs, knowing that you need to take that next step, knowing you need to apply for that next position, but you're so afraid because maybe somebody told you your whole life you weren't good enough.
Mm,
And so then you began to believe, I'm not good enough and they're just going to tell me no. So you
mm,
don't even try at all. And you say, you know what? This door is right here and it's open for me, but I'm not ready for what's behind that door. So I'm just going to push it closed and I'm just going to stay where I am because it's comfortable for me. And
mhm,
sometimes, we allow our misery or circumstances that maybe aren't good for us to become comfortable for us. It's more scary to think about going to the unknown, which in the unknown may be the best place for you, but you're so
Mm-hmm.
afraid of the unknown
Yeah.
that you stay where you are, even though that hurts too.
Mm.
So I believe that's a closing of doors. And so for me, I did it with my music career. You said something when you were talking before you asked me the question. You said, something silences you. And for me, my broken marriage silenced me.
Mm.
Being in that particular relationship silenced me. I stopped singing. It got to a point where I only was singing for work. Depression weighed on me so heavy where I wouldn't even sing to myself. And so a lot of people will say, like, a former nanny of mine, she said, Tarshà is the most, because at the time we were singing on the same praise team, at a church here in Charlotte. And shout out to Have Life. And at that time, we were singing on the same praise team, but she also was helping me with my babies during the week. And she would tell people, Tarshà is the most non singing singer I know, because she would be at home with me every day for hours and wouldn't hear a note come out of my mouth,
Wow.
because I didn't even realize I had gotten to that place where I wouldn't even sing. And
Mm.
so when I started going to therapy, last not last year December, but the December before last, up until the top of last year, I really started going to therapy in January after all those years. Which, ladies, please go to therapy. And gentlemen who's ever watching, I waited way too long. But
Mm.
what the therapist mentioned to me is the power of music and singing, and how these endorphins are released in our brain, and this happy hormone is released when we sing. That,
Mhm.
the power in singing. And it's like, I'm a singer, but I don't even sing to myself. I don't even. So I had allowed it to get to a place where I allowed the enemy to silence me
Mhm.
in that way. So it's like, if I can keep her from singing, if I could shut
Mhm.
her mouth and take away the desire to even sing, to even hear herself sing, if I can
Mhm.
make her think she's not good enough, if I can make her think that, nobody sees you, then,
Mhm.
that'll keep her silent. That'll keep her in the dark with the door closed,
Mhm.
and where nobody can get to you, where nobody even knows you're there. Nobody sees you. And even if they try to open the door, it's locked, you know? And so it's
Wow.
about, unlocking that door, opening it up, letting the fresh breeze in, letting the light in.
Mhm.
And that's what I've been doing, as approaching 40, is, opening the door.
Mhm.
And God has used my children, and that just in recent days, I've had conversations about, the singing piece. And one of my sons, he has a beautiful voice, Nolan, and he asked me, I was messing with his hair, doing his hair, and he said, Mommy, I never hear you sing. Why don't you sing? And I said, you know what, Nolan, I don't sing. You'd never hear me sing. He said, no, I don't sing. And I told him what the therapist told me about how you feel happy. And he said, yes, I feel happy when I sing. That's why I sing. Like, he literally sing. He reminds me of when I was little. I literally would sing from sun up to sundown. I would lock myself in the bathroom or in the bedroom, and I would just sing and sing and sing. And I'm sure my siblings would get tired of hearing me, but that's how I would sing. And
Wow.
somewhere along the line, I silenced myself,
Mm.
allowed myself to be quiet. And so that has been reminding me lately, like, you are a singer. You do sing.
Mhm.
You do need to be heard. Your voice matters,
Yeah.
and it's such a powerful piece. And so that's, what I'll
Yeah.
be doing more of. I definitely need to get back to it. Definitely with the pandemic, it's been hard, because I am a worship leader, and not being able to go and minister,
Mm.
and worship and be able to lead in worship has been tough for me, because I'm actually in between, um, ministries right now since I transitioned back to Charlotte. So, yeah, so that's where I am right now. But it's definitely in the works.
Wow. Wow. You shared so much in that, and as you were sharing, of course, I'm thinking about your song "Silence Kills," and it's just amazing how
Ah,
the enemy comes right after the place of freedom for
yes.
us. Um, because I think that's one of the most powerful tracks on that project. I mean, there's
Mhm.
a lot of them,
Yeah.
but
Thank
um,
you.
just the meaning behind that song, and even seeing how in recent times, how on your own platform, you've been having some very candid conversations with different guests. You host your own show, so that was another thing that I admired, that um, you were not afraid to have conversations about necessary topics. So once, how did you, or what it's been like, and I get what took you from silence kills to being silent. Was therapy the key that made you open, or has you in the space of opening your mouth again? Was that
Yeah,
what unlocked
for
that?
sure. Yeah.
Okay.
Therapy, for sure. And it changes your perspective
Mhm.
about things. And yeah, just giving you that space to be able to take the limits off of yourself that maybe
Mhm.
you put on it. And a lot of times it's not even what people told you or what people um like my sister had to tell me. She said, you kind of hide away or kind of doubt yourself like you one of those people who can't sing for real. She was like, you can actually sing. Like,
Actually saying.
I don't get it, you know, but it really is a mind thing. It's a mental thing. I really had been in prison in my mind.
Mm.
For some reason, I had myself locked away,
Mhm.
punishing myself.
Mm.
And could that have been due to some unforgiveness?
Mhm.
Possibly so, unforgiveness for decisions I made. Because self forgiveness is so important. We're so quick to forgive everyone else, but
Mhm.
very slow to forgive ourselves. We're so hard on ourselves.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
just being free from that. So just slowly, I've been rebuilding that confidence to come back to the forefront as a singer. Because as you see, weekly, yes, I'm doing the show, the live with friends on Facebook, and I freely talk, and I even convinced myself, like, I'm more of a talker than a singer, and God will send people and be like, yeah, who are you kidding? Yeah, I talk
Right.
to, and God has definitely blessed in that department. And I definitely know that I'm here to motivate in
Mhm.
speaking, but God has also given me the gift of song, to
Mhm.
be able to heal people through music. And the enemy knows that. And
Mhm.
I know and I recognize that that's why I had come to the place of silencing myself. The enemy, if I could allow him to keep me there, then I allow myself to stay in prison, in my mind. And so it's just like it was that Paul and Silas, when they began to sing and sing praises to God and worship, and they were able to break out of the jail, the prison walls. And I think it's so is the same for me. I need to have that attitude and sing my way out of this thing, and for whoever is watching, if singing isn't your thing, whatever your gift and your calling is, work it while you're working through it, like,
Mm. That's
like
good.
work your gifts
Work
while
it
you're
while
working through your healing, while you're going through your journey. Don't stop. Don't silence yourself, because if the enemy can keep you in a still place, it can be dangerous there. It's one thing when God tells you to be still, but when the enemy has you be still, you kind of like, put yourself out there. And God is
you're.
saying move in this season
Mhm.
of my life. And so it's about stepping out there and breaking past that fear, because I've
Mhm.
been comfortable. I've
Mhm.
been comfortable.
Mhm.
Even tonight before the interview, I was like, I don't want to do it. I don't even know why I said yes. It's so funny. Even though I'm on here every week, but
Mhm.
it's somebody's interviewing me.
Yes.
It's different
Yes.
when
It is different.
it's on you, not me
Different.
asking the questions. And this was good for me. It really was good for me tonight. Yeah.
Yeah. Um. So several years after your parents passed, you lost a brother as well. So,
Yes.
at what point were you able to pick up their stories and become an advocate for awareness about HIV and AIDS? Because as your bio said, that could have, I lost my mom and then 5 years later lost my sister. So I know the magnitude of, deaths, especially a death of a sibling. It just hits differently.
It
It,
does.
it
Oh my God.
almost hits differently. And I've had a few people I've had that conversation with. You never stop missing your parents, but a death of a sibling just feels like
You
that.
grow up with that sibling.
That was
You,
like,
yeah, you know them, and you know your siblings in a way that you don't know your parents. You know your
mm,
siblings in a way that you don't even get to really know your parents until you become your parents' friends in
mm,
adulthood. And see, I missed out on that phase. I didn't get a chance to get to the friend stage because, I grew up,
girl.
my mom was like, I'm not your friend, I'm your mother.
Yes.
But during this time, I would have been able to have my mom as my friend. I would have been able to have
Yes.
my dad as my friend, and
Mm,
God, when I think about their personalities now, what I would give to be able to have them. I mean, my goodness, I always tell
mhm.
people you have to be careful being envious of people in their lives or calling yourself being jealous of someone and where they are. Like somebody may look at me and be like, oh, she's so lucky. She's so
Mm,
lucky. She was married
mm,
to so and so and so. She got this big old house. She get the boom, boom, boom.
mm.
When people have
No idea.
no idea the what you've lost, what you've battled, and what you continue to battle on a
Tell the
day-to-day
truth.
basis.
Tell the truth.
Money, success, popularity, fame does not equal peace of mind.
Mm-mm.
Let me say that again. Money,
Make it plain.
success, fame, popularity does not equal a peace of mind. You can have someone who is dirt poor and they are rich in spirit because they are so content. They're happy. They have the joy of the Lord and they're in a much better space than somebody who has millions. Why do you think some billionaires or millionaires are committing suicide and different things like that? It happens all the time. That
Mhm.
clearly shows that money is not the answer. You have famous
Absolutely.
people that take their lives all the time. Clearly, fame is not the answer.
Mhm.
So please don't get it twisted to think because my life looks good, because it looks like she's lucky. I don't believe in luck. I believe in fate. I believe in destiny. I believe in God leading me in the way that I was supposed to go. And
Yes.
for the longest, I asked God, why me? Why did I have to lose my parents? Because for anybody who was out there that thought, oh, she's lucky, listen, I will trade you to have two parents in my life and my brother and be living the average normal life than the
Mm.
life that I live right now. Now,
Wow.
that doesn't mean I'm not grateful for where I am,
Exactly.
but trust and believe I would much rather have my parents and have my brother and have never suffered those losses and taken a normal life, working a 9 to 5, married with my 3 kids and a dog, and be cool
Yeah.
and go to
Yeah.
my parents every Sunday and kiki and laugh with them, or have my parents
Right.
take my child for every summer and all that stuff. Or when I went through my divorce, to be able to go to my mom and my dad and have them cover me and take the
Mhm.
kids while I get my mind together. Do y'all
Mm.
understand? I had to work through all of that by myself.
Mm.
Please
Mm.
be careful not to envy people's lives. Be careful to want to desire what you think people have, even with relationships. Be careful
Yes.
what you speak and say, I want that. I want what she has, because you asking for a lot if you want what I got.
Mm.
You better be ready to take some hits, some
Yes.
losses. You better be ready to be ready for spiritual warfare at any given time. It's a
Mhm.
constant fight. It's a constant battle. It's a constant battle of the mind, because the
Mhm.
weight that God has put on me, the mantle He's put on me, for the freeing of his people. And that's really what I've been fighting with all this time, is because I've been in the shadows because I didn't want to do the work. And so now he's like, it's time to work. You're ready.
Yeah,
You're ready
yeah.
now. So yeah.
All right now. All right. Okay. Let me come back when you said the work for his people. We about to turn this into something else. And which way do we need to go? um. Oh wow. So finding at what point did you start going public with the story of the cause
Yes.
of death for your
So
family?
I know, because I went off into a whole nother
But it was
tangent.
it was
And then I
necessary.
remembered Silence Kills, right.
It was
Silence Kills
necessary.
was that song. When I wrote it poetically in a way where I told the story, but wasn't ready to tell the story, you know? And I
Mm-hmm.
wrote it in a way, Silence Kills wasn't even just about the HIV/AIDS story. It was about every story. It was about living in silence for people who are living same sex, interaction, homosexuality, but they're living in the shadows. And so they're dying internally because they're afraid to come out to their family.
Mm-hmm.
It's about that husband or that wife that's cheating on their spouse. It's about that child who's dealing with thoughts of suicide or low self-esteem, and they're not coming out to their parents, or they're choosing to suppress it.
Mm-hmm.
All of these different scenarios that people choose to be silent about and not living in their truth,
Mm-hmm.
can kill you
Mm-hmm.
in some form, some manner, whether you take yourself out,
Mm-hmm.
whether you become sick because you haven't released it, mentally, it breaks you down. But in some type of way, it causes some type of death. It could be the death of your family, the
Mm-hmm.
death of your relationship. Either way, that silence, because you're
Mm-hmm.
not being honest, you're not living in your truth, will
Right.
kill you. It kills, and it hurts
Right.
the people that are close to us, and it also hurts us. So it meant so many different things, but
Mm-hmm.
I wrote it in a way where I was telling my story, but
Mm-hmm.
also allow people to see their own truth in the story as well. I
Right.
finally came out with it. I performed it at an HIV/AIDS event that Magic Johnson was doing, and I told the story before I sang the song, and that was the very first time. My brother was still living at that time, and I remember calling him and asking his permission
Mm-hmm.
if I
Okay.
could speak out about it. And he gave my permission. I asked my sister if I could speak out about it. She gave her permission. And so, right before my brother passed, um, the goal was, we thought he was going to get past this cancer. He ended up getting lymphoma cancer, and in 2009, top of 2009. And he was diagnosed with it, but it was in its fourth stage. He had so much going on with his body. But the goal was he was going to do chemo because he was only 26 at this time, and we were going to get through this, and he was ready to speak about his story, speak about his life, and we were both going to be advocates. And oh, it crushed me when 3 months later, he was diagnosed that March, and June 1st, 2009, I lost my only brother, Michael, at the age of 26, with my sister and I on either side of his bed, at hospice. And to witness him taking his last breath, took a piece of my soul.
Mm-hmm.
And, I always tell people, like, I heard a cry that came out of me that I'd never heard before. I call it a soul cry.
Mm-hmm.
I cried from the depths of my soul.
Mm-hmm.
And it was devastating because it was the three of us. It's like I can handle losing my parents long as I got my siblings.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
then it was just left with me and my sister.
Mm-hmm.
You go from a family of five to a family of two.
Wow. Yeah.
And so, yeah, that was very devastating. And so after that, I was just on a mission, and I started taking meetings. I was a keynote speaker at a rain event here in Charlotte before a walk. I was doing all of that in 2009. But then I hit another brick in the road, hit a rough patch at the time. I was married, and I went into hiding again, and I stopped doing the advocacy work. Eventually, I got pregnant with the twins, and all of that took a back seat
Mhm.
to the advocacy, and I never returned back fully
Okay.
to doing the work that I was doing before. So all of that I'm picking back up to the point where I'm actually launching my very first nonprofit organization this year. I'm planning to launch in June. It's called ABBA, artists. Thank
Congratulations.
you. Artists affected by AIDS, and it'll be a way of educating, re-educating, and breaking the stigma through various forms of art.
Mm,
So that
that's
is what
beautiful.
I'm contributing in my brother's honor and in my parents' honor, and for all those who have lost their lives and those who have been personally affected by HIV/AIDS. So
Wow. Wow. Amazing. Amazing. We are well over 45 minutes into this good talk.
thank you guys.
um,
I'm seeing the congratulations. Thank you. Thank you. Y'all be ready to support when we need those donations and all that. And
yeah,
when we're all
I
able
will
to come
definitely make
together,
sure. Yeah, as
I'm
I
really looking forward
hear
to
about
doing
it.
events. Yeah, really
Yeah,
looking forward
I
to it.
will definitely make sure to share it on my platform or whatever I can do
Thank
to
you so
support.
much.
Um, so you said you're working on new music. You have the nonprofit,
Mhm.
and you are a very busy mother of three. I'm sure strong and handsome young men. So, what is it these days? Do you do for self care for Tarshà?
Self care for Tarshà looks something like even today, where I stayed in the bed all while they were at school, like I was telling you. And I was just so worn out. What I learned after December 2019, and I'll probably share this in a book one day, the details of it, but I actually attempted suicide. Yeah, right. Strong Tarshà. And that's why I was
Wow.
talking about counseling. After that, yeah, that woke me up. But
Wow.
after that, it changed my life. So like all last year, that was the thing for me, was self-preservation.
Mhm.
Self-preservation, because while I'm in this mental hospital, and it was I was in a mental hospital for Christmas,
Mhm.
last Christmas. While I'm there by myself.
Mhm.
Everybody else is having Christmas, doing what they do, and I'm here by myself, in here with strangers, with people, other people who couldn't deal. And that
Mhm.
was a wake up call for me, to self preserve.
Mhm.
And if I don't look out for me, who's going to look out for me?
Mhm.
I can't put my fate in another man's hand.
Mhm.
I have to do that. And I have to depend solely on God. Anyone else is a beautiful extra,
Right.
but I need to lean and depend solely on Christ. That's the solid rock. And
Mhm.
that was a huge eye opener for me. And
Mhm.
so yeah, self-care became priority. So when I feel myself getting to that place where it's like anxious, because I was diagnosed with anxiety and depression at that time, and I was even on medication for a little while, and then I stopped taking it after a few months, and the doctor was like, you don't need it. But that was because I was doing the work. I
Mhm.
was going to counseling, my Bible studies. I have a strong core group surrounded around me that checks in with me. So I'm doing the work, and that's another reason why the door has been opened, again, because now I'm coming out of hiding, because I feel safe to come out, because I feel covered now. And
Mhm.
before, I don't think I felt safe to do that. But
Mhm.
yeah, my confidence has built in that. And so it's been a lot of self care. So today it was sleeping for the hours they were at school,
Mhm.
until it was time to go get them, because I needed to rest. Because if you
Mhm.
don't rest, you'll break down. You really, really will. Self care for me looks like a long bath sometimes. Self care for me looks like just sharing how I feel with other moms. I just recently joined a group with a friend of mine, Sunny Anderson, and we do a Zoom every Wednesday, and it's called the 80s Club, and is really cool, but you're sharing with other women on there. That's self-care, you
Mm-hmm.
know. So yeah, just acknowledging what you need in that moment and not
Yeah.
ignoring when your body is tapping you like we need a break.
Yeah.
And now I'm not afraid to say, I need a break.
Mm-hmm.
Now I don't have too much pride to say, oh, I can do it. I'm good. I don't need any help. You know, I thought I could be superwoman. And listen, I'm human. I'm human.
Absolutely.
And I'm
Yeah.
okay with being human. I
Yeah.
really am. I'm okay with being
Yeah.
human. And it doesn't make me weak. It actually shows my strength for
It
me to be able
does.
to say, I need a break. I need a timeout. And then I can come back and complete whatever task I need to as a mom, you know,
Mm-hmm.
or anything else I need to do.
Mm-hmm. And I'm glad that when you were saying that, you were like, yes, strong Tarsha, because I think it's often assumed that the
Mhm.
strong friend or the friend that looks like they have everything they need
Mhm.
or have it all together, that everything else is beautiful in their world.
Yeah,
Um,
people don't even
so
check on you
exactly.
because they're like,
Oh,
"Oh, she good.
she's good. She's
She
good.
good.
She
She living
always
nice. She's good." Like I'm the one struggling. Like she don't. I need. You know.
good.
But
Hmm. Hmm.
no, it's a struggle. You have to check people. You always see that meme. Check on
Check on your
your
strong
strong
friends.
friends. It's true.
Yes.
It really is
Yes.
true.
Yes. So thank you so much for your transparency. Absolutely amazing and life changing. And I'm so very glad that God directed me to invite you to this platform because I
Yeah.
know that it has been a tremendous impact for those that are listening in and for those that will watch in the replay. So I'm so glad that what the enemy tried in 2019 did not succeed and that we still get to enjoy the beautiful gift of you and everything that you encompass. So, how can, if people want to follow you so they can, maybe start plugging into your shows on Monday to stay informed of what's to come with your nonprofit, how can they connect with you on social media or what's the best way to stay informed?
Okay, so on Facebook, I am Tarshà Nicole. Every Monday night, I have a show called Tarshà Live with Friends. So I do that every week, and we just talk about ordinary topics with really cool people.
Hmm.
And everybody's a friend. So I do that every Monday. On IG, I am Tarshà underscore official. I'm taking a little IG time out right now until my birthday. Um, in March for my 40th. And then, you know, you guys will see me present there then. But yeah, you can catch me every Monday at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard there. Um, and then, yeah, just be on the lookout. ICTV. Make sure you guys download that app. My family and I are coming to a TV near you. Our show is called Raising Hamilton. And so I've been blessed to have that opportunity as well, that platform. Jonna Haynes is the creator of ICTV, and so shout out to her and Brandon, and also to Kevin Long as well for bringing me to that platform at ICTV. So that's what's coming, and y'all check out. Y'all be on the lookout for ABBA as well.
Okay.
And thank
Okay.
you, anybody that's on here that's watching. Make sure you follow Tammy as well.
Oh, thank you. Yes, you can
Tune
follow
in for your
me
show.
on my Simply Tammy page here on Facebook.
Yes.
I'm
Mhm.
on Instagram, Simply Tammy 543, or if you're watching from YouTube, because we're streaming live on YouTube as well. My
Awesome.
YouTube page is Simply Tammy. So yes, subscribe on YouTube. I'm trying to reach a goal. So yes, please
Okay.
click on
Well,
subscribe.
subscribe on YouTube. I'll make sure I go on there as well and subscribe.
Yes. So as we get ready to close, what words of encouragement or inspiration would you like to leave with the women that are watching or the women that will watch and replay? And even men, I have men that watch this too. They typically tell me in Messenger, oh, I like your show, or but they don't
Mhm.
chime in the comments. But
Yeah.
from any facet in your life, we didn't get to talk about everything, but I know that
Mhm.
it was very intentional with what God needed us to hear tonight.
Exactly.
So, what last words of encouragement or inspiration would you like to leave with those that are watching?
Open the door.
Yes,
I think
yes.
as I was speaking, that spoke to me, you know, and God speaks through me in that way. As I encourage others, I'm really talking to myself as well. the Holy Spirit, speaking. Um, but open the door, those doors. And if you feel that you're about to close it, just leave it open. Allow God to, if God hasn't closed the door, leave it alone. You
Mm,
know, leave it alone. Don't open any doors that he hasn't told
right.
you to open. So every door
Right.
ain't meant to be broke down.
Mhm,
Every
mhm.
door isn't meant to be open, but it's so important that we go by the leading of God and his Holy Spirit. That's what it's there for. And
Mhm.
so I think that's even a message for me tonight. It's just, continue to open the door. Let it, come wide open. Let the sun shine in.
Mhm.
Let the air, the fresh breeze come in. Let the
Yes.
sunlight in, and just open the door,
Yes.
and invite others in, But yeah, open
That
the
that was
door.
yeah, that was needed, because it was amazing because we don't realize the one thing that God has allowed you to use to change so many other lives, the enemy wanted to sniff out to try to
Yeah.
destroy your own. So,
Yes.
I know that there are some other artists that are listening in. One of my friends I know is a spoken word artist on. So oftentimes when he wants to silence us, he starts with the gift. With
Yes.
they
Yeah.
don't want to hear that, they don't want it. So you don't even use it to encourage yourself. So
Exactly.
and that was something for me because I'm like y'all. I'll come on these lives to interview somebody, use my voice to want to encourage others, but then in turn, am I using it when I'm
Yeah.
alone to talk back
Mhm.
to me?
Yeah.
So that was needed for us to hear on tonight. So
And
thank
you're
you.
serving purpose now. So you allowing the platform. I love how God does this thing here. You give, I receive. I give, you receive. And so although I do this for others every week, you have me on here. Now I'm the one. But
Uh,
it's been a blessing for me to experience this. And so yes, to encourage you, you're doing a great work creating this platform for people to come on and share their stories.
Thank you. Thank you. It's life giving for me. To be
Mhm.
honest, it was
Yeah,
difficult last week because everything that was going on in our country. But I was like, "Ooh,
yeah,
let's keep moving,
keep
push the
moving.
reset." But yeah,
Mhm.
it is definitely life giving. So I'm grateful that we had this time together, and I look forward to staying in contact to
Yes,
support everything that God is allowing um to come forth from you, even beyond singing. Because yeah, like I told you. It was the music that attracted me years ago, but seeing what I saw through what you had been posting on social media was like, oh, she's taken on a whole nother um, look on life. She's bloomed into something totally different. So it's been beautiful to see.
thank you.
So thank you guys for listening in and watching. There's a lot of comments that came in later that I didn't get to put on the screen, but we will
I'm
go
just gonna
back.
have to go back and watch
Yeah,
to see the comments. But
yeah.
thank y'all. I can't see y'all, but thank y'all so much for coming on. And I pray it was a blessing for you all.
Mhm. Yeah, my sis, she is Charlene, absolutely beautiful,
Thank
isn't
you,
she?
Charlene.
Yeah, yeah. So, we're going to get ready to say good night. Thank you guys again for watching. I will be back next week. I'm here every week. Sometimes I shift between Wednesday and Thursdays, and I think my next two interviews for this month are on Thursday. But I always put out the announcement as to who my guests will be and what the date will be. So hopefully, some of you guys that watch for the first time, if you're available, if you do, go ahead and like my page. You'll get to see the announcement and get to join us again live next week or catch us on the replay. So, Tarsha, I'm gonna ask you to hang out with me for a minute in the studio
Okay.
as we get ready to wrap the show up. Thank you, ladies, again so much tonight for chiming in, for participating with us, for watching. I know you were encouraged and inspired. I'm not gonna even say I hope you were. I know you were. If y'all saw me looking down, I was like, what did I do with my tissue box? Because I don't know how I let myself sit up here without any tissue and kept having to do this. But it was so very needed and so very necessary. So thank you for encouraging all of our hearts tonight, Tarsha.
Bless
Um,
you.
we appreciate you. So good night, everyone.
Good night.
All